You're listening to Atlanta Baseball Talk, your weekly podcast for all things Atlanta Braves.
Hey, welcome to show number 275. Today is Sunday, August 17th, and my name is Kurt. No Steve tonight, and Ham is in a Russian gulag, as we always like to joke. So excuse the technical challenges we face, but we're here for you regardless. So yes. Tonight we're going to talk about hanging in the wild card hunt, despite some recent struggles. A nice series going on against the A's to get us back into that. Heyward back hitting leadoff, and Kris Medlen in 2015.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a show.
Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
But first, the Braves so far have won 3 games this week. They're winning this game tonight 3-1 as we speak. They're going to the bottom of the 6th. So depending on how this game ends up, thanks to the Nationals, we could either be 2 games out or 1 game out of the wild card. And with Pittsburgh sitting in front of us, who we go on the road to play this week. So, despite our 3-10 week, or a 3-10 last 13, potentially another win tonight. So, if the Braves, looking at this, if the Braves make the wild card. Do you think,
or even the postseason, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
card, right.
I think realistically we have to look at the Braves being a wild card team at this point. I frankly have kind of moved on from following the Nats unless they're playing a wild card team. I think the 6 games is going to be tough to overcome, and especially the way the Nationals are playing right now. They're playing very well. I think this makes them 9-1 in their last 10 games. I saw that they were 8-2 and they won today, so. Math going as it is, that's 9-1. So, do you think that there was, we've kind of touched on this some, but do you think there was an overhauling that was going to happen at the end of the season? And do you think if they end up making the wild card, does that change a lot of those thoughts?
Yeah, it's funny because if they do make the postseason, do you feel like all of a sudden we're a winning team? We're one of 6 teams in the league, and why change anything? I think we both know that that's questionable. But I think the Braves have a pass on this season. I said it last week when we were talking about Freddie, or whenever I was on the show 2 weeks ago. I think we have a pass on this season. I think with the Beachy and Medlen injury, like we talked about, and then Floyd going down, I think that no matter what happens to the Braves this year, that there's not going to be a complete overhaul this offseason. I really don't. I don't think that there's anything. And I think that I will say, though, Curtis, that any success that we have is going to make that even more so the case. I do not see the Braves going out and dumping BJ or dumping someone else and signing a huge free agent. We put all of our money in the guys that we have. I do not see anything that happens this year changing the fact that we have this team next year.
Yeah, and
what do you think?
I think I'll agree with you. I think that I don't think that the loss, obviously, of those 3 pitchers is something that should be discounted. But I think that the bigger issue that's plagued the Braves is, again, been the offense. And as it's constructed now, there are no open spots on the team as far as the starting lineup because everybody is signed through next year. You have LaStella, Gosselin, who can play second base. And really the only issue would be bench players, and some of those guys are even signed through next year as well. So I just don't see the Braves being a team and an organization that it will go under some drastic overhaul. I think if the same ends up next season and they don't make the playoffs and they've got the new stadium looming and all those kind of issues facing them, I think that is when those changes might happen, because I don't think they want to go into a new building with a sour taste in everyone's mouth. And I don't think anything would change any differently if they don't make the postseason, if they lose the 1-game play-in, if they win the 1-game play-in and they lose in the first round. I think
No, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think it's set, and I think you're right. And we've talked about this last week. I don't think that Freddie is in trouble, at least this year. I think he gets a pass. And so, we just move on.
And we're the Hawks.
Yeah.
We are the Hawks. We are content with being the fourth best team in our league. And I really get upset with not upset, but there's a lot of people who say, hey, you're so spoiled. Like, no other team has had this run of 20 years or whatever. And all of a sudden we're 3.5 games back, 4 games back, and all of a sudden the sky is falling. And I sort of laugh at that. Like, are they not watching this team? Because, like, you take away that 17-7 start, like we have said ad nauseum, we are a below mediocre team. And with all the lack of moves that I think both you and I are saying are going to happen next year, that is what we're signing up for the long term. And I have very little faith that we have the chutzpah or the cojones to make a huge move to be the Dodgers. Right now, the Dodgers, I think, are the gold standard of the National League, right? And I hate to say this, I think the Nationals are right there after them. The Nationals went out and got Doug Fister, right? The Nationals spend money on marquee players. And the only reason we had the biggest marquee player we had that wasn't homegrown is Santana, and that was a panic move. We are not that team, and it's depressing. It's depressing. We are the Hawks. We do not. We are not going to do crazy things to shake it up and make this team win. And maybe that's Liberty. Maybe that's Frank. It's Liberty, right? It's not Frank Wren. It's not Freddie. But this team, and who I love, is disappointing, and I think is going to break our heart all next season too.
Well, I wonder if that. Yeah, I just. You start to kind of you start to feel better right now. I mean, obviously the Oakland Athletics have the best record coming in baseball.
Although they're struggling.
Yeah, they're struggling since they traded away. Their offense is kind of gone south. They kind of traded offense for pitching, and it hasn't worked out so well for them. But you hope that this move for Hayward back to the starting or to the top of the lineup, that it produces some kind of spur like it did last year before he got his jaw broken, where they went on such a tear and when they won 19 of 22 or whatever it was. Obviously it's a small sample, but since he's gone back to the top of the lineup, they are 3-1.
Yeah,
and they could potentially, if they win this game, be 4-1. He's not doing anything spectacular, but.
Is that what fixes this team, though?
I don't know. I don't know what fixes the team. I mean, but you're right in the fact that you see some of these moves like Oakland trading away.
Cespedes.
Their power hitting outfielder and making a move like that. And I saw some stuff that was kind of bandied around that there were people willing to take B.J. Upton, but they wanted pieces thrown in. So it's like a Shea Simmons, and I mean, I'm not saying that like it's not obvious, but I mean, like a big prospect that they wanted to make part of that deal, and to unload that burden on your contract and your lineup, is it worth throwing in Shea Simmons to get rid of BJ almost as just a total dump, like getting nothing, literally nothing in return?
Just a do-over.
Just to have that wiped away,
a reset.
Yeah, and to and if are the Braves willing to? Would they? I mean, they didn't, but would they be willing to do that in the offseason if they were approached again with that option? And you wonder, would they be willing to trade Justin Upton or Jason Heyward? Because obviously those guys are both in their last year. Next year will be the last years in their contract. We all kind of sadly think that that Jason Heyward is on his way out just because of the money that he will demand. And what
agent. The Braves showed they're willing to do with him last year, right? With just the minor extension.
Well, maybe they just couldn't work out the details. I guess we don't know the full extent of that, but
yeah.
I just it seems like if you're at this day and age, and especially if you're under the constraints that the Braves continue to have to play under, that do you do something ambitious like that to really kind of shake up the And I mean, who would do you sign? Do you, if you have to sign one of those guys and have to trade the other one away? Which I mean, obviously, I'm picking Hayward. I don't know who you would pick
to keep or to sign to trade. Yeah. I do too. I feel like the pain of watching Hayward beat us and shine in another city would be much more painful than Justin doing it or anyone else really, who's even in the conversation. Right? It's just so. I mean, it's so strange because let's just assume that we are not an elite team, right? But we're not the Padres. We're not horrible, and I admit that. And we're fun to watch, and we go out there and we give it a try every. That we're competitive. And the two things that we could do is one is increment. You're missing one piece. Sign that top line starter. Sign that bench bat. Fill in that gap at center field, and then that's what takes you to the next level. Or there's just the blow it up. Blow it up. You have all these assets, and I don't really know. It feels weird to say blow it up when you have Freddie Freeman, when you have Jason Heyward, when you have Justin Upton, when you have Evan Gattis, when you have these Andrelton Simmons, when you have all these guys who are awesome, it feels weird to say blow it up. But I honestly don't think incremental is going to get us to win a World Series. And maybe that's fine. I mean, maybe everybody just wants to do great and come in first and second and get to the postseason every now and again and be in the conversation, but not me. And we're not an elite team. We're not winning a World Series unless we get incredibly lucky with the lineup that we have now. It feels weird to say blow it up, but I think we're in a blow it up situation. And I don't know how. That's another show.
Yeah, there's definitely pieces that I think that we could move. And I don't want to take the shine off what we're doing right now in this Oakland series. I mean, this does, after being very negative about the team last week, this does give me light. I was disappointed coming out of the Dodgers series, not so much that we lost 3 of 4, because you kind of expected that they were going to lose 3 of 4, but it's the fact that they lost 3 of 4 to the pitchers that they lost to. They were competitive in those games, and all of those games, really, I think, except one, but it's just that the pitching talent that you had the opportunity to face, and you didn't take advantage of any of it, which seems kind of the story of the season with the Braves is missing opportunities. But now, I mean, they're right in this wild card thing. They're not buried in the wild card thing. It's just a matter of getting over one team who potentially you're going to be one game out of, and then you're right there in the mix with San Francisco and St. Louis, I guess, are the other two teams that are ahead of the Braves right now. So, there are still aspirations and things to accomplish this season. And they still can make a trade, and maybe they're just waiting to see kind of where they lie and where they play out before the final trade deadline comes and goes. But yeah, I mean, this has been a really great series against the A's. I mean, totally. This is a very good team. They beat a pitcher that they needed to beat in Hamill, who had been struggling. He had pitched well in his last couple of starts, but he's not pitched well at all for Oakland. We talked about that. They beat Sonny Gray, who's a good pitcher. They're beating John Lester, who's a great pitcher. So I mean, we need to focus on that, and we have Pittsburgh and Cincinnati coming up, who are two teams right there in the wild card mix with them. So hopefully they go on a little run here and can not only get back in it, but San Francisco is playing really poorly.
Oh yeah, nobody wants the wild card.
Yeah,
it's ours for the taking.
So let's focus on that for now. So, we already kind of talked about this, but one of our listeners posted an interesting theory that you possibly keep the team status quo until the walk year from Turner Field after the 2016 season, which to me, I think that on first blush makes sense, because you really don't want to go in again to the new stadium with a team who you feel like really has limited
you're not
ceiling.
A rebuilding team is not going to put fans in the seats.
But in the same sense, that to me is so cynical, because it's just smacks of the Marlins moving into their new stadium and loading up on all those guys once they went in there. I mean, I would rather we build around this core that we have, and like you said, fill in some pieces that make sense to make this team better, replace Chris Johnson. Some of these players that, if you insert a different player into that position, how much differently the team comes. So this makes sense on paper, but I'm hoping that we accomplish something before then, and going in, we have kind of a built-in... that it's moot, right? And a built-in love for a team that we've watched over the years, and then now has, and then this team is very young. This team is the second youngest team in Major League Baseball or something like that. So obviously they still can go and grow and develop and get better in that regard too. So
I guess so. I mean, I hear you. I totally hear you. And I know they're young. And maybe with maturity comes more consistency, which is really what I think this team direly lacks. But it's true. I mean, you can't escape the economics of the move to Cobb County, and they are not going to. I mean, I just talked about incremental change blow up. I think this team needs to blow up, but they're not blowing this team up until no way. Nobody is going to watch the Houston Astros in a new stadium. I don't care, right? They need a team that has promise, that has potential in the short term when they move into that new stadium. And I don't think they're going to do anything drastic to mix that up.
Well, and you hope that obviously they've talked a lot about it, and we've hopefully seen kind of first impressions of it so far, but that these added revenue streams that come with the new stadium, that they can go and make these moves to shape this team and not have to sit on guys that really you can replace and upgrade yourself dramatically. So moving on to fair or foul. Ham, this was going to be a positive show, not a negative show.
No, I mean, hey, we're about to sweep the A's. And that's great. And I think actually what you lose sight of, sorry, and we can move on, Curtis, because I know we want to be brief here, and I probably sound horrible, is that we should be frustrated with this team, but considering the fact that we sort of have some scrap heap starters and a lot of injuries this year, and we are only 3 games out, maybe we should just be amazed at the resilience of this team. Maybe.
Exactly. Well, 6 games out of the Nationals. I don't know what.
Sure. I was more thinking wild card. Hey, man, pick your battles.
Yeah.
No way we're catching the Nats.
Right. So, fair or foul, moving on. This is where if you agree, it's fair. If you disagree, foul. Someone just hit a home run, so it's now 3-2. Freeman hit another home run. Freeman, however you say his name. Not Freddie.
I think it's Freeman.
Is it? I thought it was Freeman, the other guy. Whatever.
Oh, the other guy, not Freddie.
Yeah, not
gotcha.
Freddie. They're Freeman first pitch.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So fair, you agree. Foul, you disagree. Ham. So
okay.
We talked about this briefly. Game 3 of the Dodger series, Freddie moves Jason back to the 1. So fair or foul, you think this was the right lineup move?
Oh man, it's such an albatross, our leadoff spot. So I was much longer than I should have been supporting BJ in the top spot. And now that I hear myself saying that, I want to check myself into a hospital. But I thought that the problem is we don't have a leadoff hitter, as we've talked about forever. And so you're really putting someone out of place in there. We miss Michael Bourne drastically. In hindsight, God, I wish we had Denard Span. All the conversations, right? So I think it was. I think the fact that, in a perfect world with BJ hitting and the rest of the lineup falling into place, that BJ's our best leadoff guy. We saw with Bonifacio, I think we had hope that he could come in and be a spark and be consistent. He's not that player. He's way too old. We know who he is. He's horrible in the field and has cost us runs, has cost us games as a fielder. And so that if you eliminate BJ, you eliminate Bonifacio, Heyward is the next best option. It's not LaStella. I don't think it's Simmons. Hayward has the OBP, but he also has the speed. I think that he protects the number 8 hitter a little bit, right? If that's the way the lineup is going. So I given the situation, I think this was the best move.
Yeah,
so fair, I guess.
Right,
yeah,
fair. I guess I touched on it briefly, but the results to me, are the wins. I know that the Braves have not played great recently, and to win 3 of 4, potentially 4 of 5, another dude just laced one to the wall that was caught. So hopefully this is Minor's last inning, and they're getting out here very quickly.
It will be.
But Heyward in the leadoff spot has now gone 4 for 19 with 3 runs. And I had, when he was first brought over, I thought Bonifacio might be the answer to that question, and that they could just rotate him around and have him fill in for guys, but just keep him at the leadoff spot. But frankly, he was not great. He batted 181, only scored 3 runs, didn't really draw any walks, so his OBP wasn't great. And it doesn't help, or it doesn't hurt Hayward that since almost the same time, Gosselin's gone on this tear in the 2 spot, and he's gone 5 for 10. So, but yeah, I'll go fair too, just because you hope that.
Who else is it?
Yeah, and that this is some lightning in a bottle that they got last year, and they went on that crazy run, and you hope that the same thing's going to happen this year to close out this season, because we're a lot closer to the end, and maybe we can ride that for a while, and
and just don't play him against the Mets.
Right.
Leave him out against the Mets.
Well, that's not next week, but the week after. So we talk about this already, sort of, Ham, but fair or foul, the Braves release BJ in the offseason.
Oh, man. This is such a gut check for the Braves, because this is UGLA 2.0. Like, you have lived through this. You have made the horrible decision for pretty much the exact same deal, and it totally blew up in your face. So the question is, how do you do it differently? This is your chance to say, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. This is that chance. With BJ, we're 2 years in now. It doesn't seem to be getting better. This is the chance to say, you know what, let's just move on. It's time to release BJ and find a new center fielder and cut our losses. Having said that, foul. The Braves do not release BJ in the offseason.
Same. There's no way. There's no way that the Braves are going to eat that insane amount of money that they would have to eat to just flat out release him. I think they will actively try and move him. And, they said, from what I heard, which was on MLB Trade Rumors or something like that, that the Braves were not happy with what they were getting back in return for the teams that were willing to take BJ, which maybe come this offseason when he doesn't play all that much the rest of this year and contributes even less when he does. Maybe they're willing to approach some of those options, some of those offers, and take them for what they are, which is basically you're just simply dumping BJ.
Give us Simmons and someone else, and we'll take BJ off your hands.
Yeah,
that's the deal.
Not Andrelton Simmons.
No, right, Shea. Yep.
Okay, last fair or foul. Do you offer Medlen arbitration in December?
I know that I'm supposed to jump right in with my response.
So
here.
He made $5.8 million this season, which obviously has been paid by insurance. But he goes through arbitration. You got to imagine he's not getting anywhere close to that. I would say 2.5, maybe 3, coming off his second Tommy John.
Yeah, I think you do. I think you do for a couple of reasons. One, because when healthy, he's a great pitcher, and he's a versatile pitcher, and he can help you up and down your pen, right? So you can bring him in for relief. You can start games. He's a Bulldog. He's a Brave. I think you do. I think it's who the Brave. I think they will, and I think they should.
So fair.
Fair.
Yeah, I'm fair too. And I think it's because of his versatility, because you can bring him back slow. You know what he can do out of the bullpen, even if it means you move David Hale into the starting rotation and let Medlen come out of the bullpen. He's not a power guy, so maybe the elbow, he won't have to completely reconstruct what kind of pitcher he is, going from a power pitcher to a finesse pitcher. So yeah, I think it's a gamble worth taking for whatever it might be, $2.5–3 million. You know what a winner he is, and what a great clubhouse guy he is, and I'm sure that he would give the Braves a boost just by his presence alone. So absolutely,
I hope so.
Yeah.
And I love Medlen. I mean, we've talked about it a lot. I know you do too. I think it would feel good, and I think it would be a boost for the team beyond what happens on the field.
Agreed. So moving on again, we're off to our favorite segment.
Woo!
Shot in
your favorite segment,
the
Curtis,
dark.
Let's be honest.
Well, I dominate this, so it's tough for me.
I understand.
Not to,
yeah.
It's like if one of my kids is on a winning team and one is on a losing team, I go to a lot more of the games with the kid that's on a winning team. I mean, why go to watch your kid lose sports? What's the point? So,
yes. Dad of the year.
Yes.
Kurt Gill.
Looking in on last week, you picked something that was silly.
And I was not far off. But go ahead, continue.
That all the Braves pitchers would give up 3 runs or more, right?
Yep, over the week. So obviously, it doesn't even matter. I lost. I would explain. I lost it. I was off, and God bless Santana and Wood for two runs or less on Thursday, Friday.
So I said 7 innings pitched, 2 runs, and then was bullied into 8 innings pitch, 1 run for Harangue, which didn't really matter because he had one of his worst starts of the season. He gave up 5 earned runs. And Steve said that we would lose 4 games in the standing this coming week, which even if we lose, we will be 7 back. If we lose, we'll be 7 back, which would only be 3.5 games since last week, but I guess he's
close.
Yeah. So, but if we win, it would have only been 2.5 games. So it's not really close. So you know what? I'm calling nobody a winner this week.
Oh,
those are all bad.
Stevie.
Yeah, I'm not accepting any of those. And
we're all
Chris
bad
Johnson.
Braves fans.
Chris Johnson just hit a home run. So now it's 4-2.
Nice.
Steve's going to love this show. This will be one of his all-time favorites. So looking at the fan SITDs, that's shot in the dark for you novices. Matthew Terry from Facebook predicted that the Braves would win both the Dodgers and the A's series, sweeping one of them. Which Matthew, you are looking good on one that we might actually sweep the A's, which was pretty impressive in and of itself, but we clearly did not even come really all that close to beating the Dodgers.
But still, way to be a good fan, Matthew.
Sure.
Good fan, Matthew.
At Minor WC, which I think is actually Mike Minor's Twitter address.
He had the same shot in the dark as I did.
Yeah, he predicted that Mike Minor would pitch like he did in the NLDS and go 6+ innings, giving up 1 run against the Dodgers, which he should have said the A's because he would have been much closer. He did not pitch all that great against the Dodgers.
He did. You know what? He did okay. Let's be fair. I mean, obviously the bar is much lower for Minor, but he didn't blow up. He kept us. The offense lost that game, not Minor. Anyway, I digress.
Yeah. So I'm going to have to not give it to either one of these guys either, unless you disagree. I mean, picking that we would sweep one of the series, I guess we'll give a 0.5 point to Matthew Terry.
Yes, so he can put that in his scorecard for later. I think we're all losers this week, is the short message.
So Steve's shot in the dark for this week is he has Gaddis hitting 4 home runs.
He's an idiot.
Yeah, so what do you got?
I love you, Stevie.
Other than that Steve's an idiot.
Yeah, no, that's my shot in the dark. My shot in the dark is that Heyward scores 6 runs this week.
Heyward with 6 runs. Ambitious.
Well, BJ, 1 week, his best week at leadoff, he led the National League and runs scored in a week, and it was 6. And I think Heyward has it in him.
Noted. I'm going to say Santana's got 2 starts. I'm going to say he goes at least 6 in both and gives up a grand total of 4 earned runs combined.
Wow. All right.
Love. Even in that ridiculous stadium in Cincinnati.
Say it, Curtis. Describe it. What is it?
A bandbox.
It's a bandbox. It's
a slow pitch beer league softball park. So get all your predictions in, all your shots in the darks in. Shots in the dark.
Shot in the dark.
Make sure you get them in before start time tomorrow night, and we will pick 2. Steve has limited us to 2 because apparently this segment goes on too long. I can't imagine why he was saying that. And we will, of course, pick them and let everybody know. We'll tweet them out, and we will talk about them
So it's hashtag ABTSITD.
Hashtag ABTSITD, or put them up on Facebook, of course.
Twitter and Facebook.
And we're still waiting for Meglapore to submit hers and get back into this. She's abandoned.
I think we said her name too much, and now she's freaked out and not coming back to the show.
So looking ahead to the week, Ham, we go on the road, big series at Pittsburgh, at Cincinnati. So at Pittsburgh, we've got Santana Worley, who was always our nemesis in
Philadelphia.
Philly. Yeah. Harangue Francisco Liriano, who has fallen off a cliff. He's 3-9. Alex Wood against Cole. Then we move on to Cincinnati. Tehran against TBD. Minor against Matt Latos. Santana against Leak. And Harangue against Simon, who is 12-8. So, two big series. The pitching looks like it could be tough, but we shall see. So, what do you got, Ham?
I think we go 3-4. I think we go 1-2 in Pittsburgh, and then 2-2 in Cincinnati.
I'm going to go 4-3. I'm going to go 2-1, 2-2. I feel like the Braves are showing some life. I feel like this could be a run. I've said this before, but I feel like it is, that this is a legit run that's coming. As long as they hit lots of home runs every single night, they are unbeatable.
Yeah, it's true. Well, but last night's game, they looked great with just a bunch of singles and I think 1 or 2 doubles. This is the week, right? So it's funny. We talked a couple weeks ago about, and maybe funny is not the right way to characterize it, but we talked about this, this stretch against all of these winning teams was really going to make or break the Braves season. And I've given up on winning the East. I think we're not better than the Nats, and we're not catching them. But this is the week where we need to come out of the end of this week in the lead for the wild card and then just defend it for the rest of the year. We're still back. I think I'm nervous. I don't know. For what it's worth.
Got it.
Write that down.
Yes. So that's the show. We might both be fired by this time next week. So
you may get a rest of the season of just Steve and Ballpark Frank solo shows.
You know what? There was just 1,000 people out there that just screamed in joy at the sheer thought of Steve and Ballpark Frank doing the rest of the shows for the year.
It's nice that you think we have 1,000 people listening to us, but yes, exactly.
How dare you? So please subscribe to us. We've got our new YouTube channel up. So subscribe to us there and like us there. You can find us on iTunes and Stitcher. You can keep up with all the current weekly shows by checking us out at AtlantaBaseballTalk.com. You can check out past shows, our great blogs, of course, and you can post in our comments section. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at ATL Baseball Talk. Sorry. And like us, of course, on Facebook. And, thanks as always for listening. And what do you say, Ham?
Go Braves.
Go Braves.
Thanks for listening to Atlanta Baseball Talk, your weekly podcast for all things Atlanta Braves. To find new shows, to post in our forum, or to send a comment, please visit us at AtlantaBaseballTalk.com.
Had to admit the